start at the White House, because that is where the bill to release the Epstein Files was signed by President Trump, completing the major U-turn he has done on this issue. He originally called it a hoax before he ultimately bowed to Republican pressure to release the files.
But what does the bill actually do, and what are the next steps for the Department of Justice? Drew Petrimo has all of those answers, and he joins us this morning. Good morning, Drew.
Good morning.
So this has been a long time coming. Years, right? It's been a really long, lengthy process to finally get these files out, but we really don't know what's going to be released. And you can fill us in on the why.
Yeah, you know, I think there's a lot of pressure on Attorney General Pam Bondi right now. If you remember, she has faced the ire of some of the most intense followers of this case because of her handling of it. She said previously that she had the Epstein client list on her desk. Then she said the investigation was closed. Now she's reopened the investigation into prominent Democrats at the direction of the president. Also says there's new information. She now has 30 days, December 19th, it's the Friday before Christmas, to release this information as demanded in this bill. But there are caveats that could lead to confusion over what exactly is being released and possibly suspicion that the government is still withholding information. There's these carve-outs to protect victims, to protect sensitive materials. There's this idea of grand jury testimony. Will that actually be released? There's been courts that are saying that they're not actually, that's going to continue to be withheld. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on her. You have even Republican senators warning publicly, saying, don't withhold information, but there's just a lot of reasons why you could see the Department of Justice actually wanting to redact large portions of the information.
The president weighed in shortly after signing that bill last night on Truth Social, as he is wont to do from time to time. He said this: Jeffrey Epstein, who was charged by the Trump Justice Department in 2019, not the Democrats, was a lifelong Democrat, donated thousands of dollars to Democrats, was deeply associated with many well-known Democratic figures. He lists Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, Hakeem Jeffries, Larry Summers. Perhaps the truth about these Democrats and their association with Jeffrey Epstein will soon be revealed, because I have just signed the bill to release the Epstein Files. We heard from victims of Jeffrey Epstein when the Senate voted on this that they weren't necessarily confident the DOJ was actually going to put these files out there. So let's listen to two senators, a Democrat and a Republican, John Tucett of Ohio and Jeff Merkley of Oregon, on this partisan split.
This shouldn't be a new issue, so they should be ready to go. I hope they release them immediately.
I don't think he will release the files, no. I think he will do every possible thing he can to hold on to them, or to release only small sections that don't give us the full picture. I think it's because there's too many implications for his own future.
Andrew, that's the piece of the U-turn, right? The president called this a hoax, then tells Pam Bondi to investigate Democrats. He wants the files to come out, but that investigation could hold some of those files back.
Right, and you know, we've seen the Department of Justice be willing to acquiesce to the demands of the Trump administration. Just look at this investigation. President Trump put out a Truth Social saying that he wanted the Department of Justice to investigate these Democrats, and they're doing it now. So I think that fuels suspicion that in the release of these documents, there could be some partisan considerations. President Trump talked about the prominent Democrats that have had connections to Jeffrey Epstein. True. There's also prominent Republicans and people from the MAGA world. Steve Bannon was exposed in these release of emails from the Epstein estate to have a relationship with them. We've seen the pictures from President Trump with Jeffrey Epstein. We've seen the birthday card. We've seen, in these emails that were released, lots of talk on the Epstein part, talking about his relationship and the knowledge that he says he had of the inner workings of Trump world. So I think there's enough relationships between Epstein and figures on both the right and the left, but with the ball kind of now in the Department of Justice's court to decide which information is going to be released, I think that fuels suspicion that there could be some partisan tinkering.
So what does the public think about it? Well, Reuters did a poll, and they just did it. It was between November 14th and 17th. So the question was, how many approve of Trump's handling of the case? Overall, just 20% approved of it. Then the second question was, the government is hiding Epstein's alleged client list. How many people believed that? Well, a whopping 70% overall. Third question about the government hiding information on Epstein's death. 61% of the people believe that the government is hiding information on Epstein's death. So there is not a lot of trust with the government when it comes to this entire case. So if, in fact, there's not a lot of transparency, one could imagine that the people who were in this Reuters poll will not be happy.
I think that 70% number of people who think that the government is hiding a client list is one of the most telling things about this case, and it's going to be a huge challenge for the Department of Justice. Look, people want to know the names of rich and famous people that had these connections. We actually saw what happened with Larry Summers, former Treasury Secretary, not implicated in any crimes, but his conversations with Jeffrey Epstein were exposed. They were embarrassing. He's now stepping back from his public role. People want to see information like that. The Department of Justice says there's not information that would lead to any other third-party individuals to be charged. How much of the information about these powerful people like Larry Summers, is the Department of Justice willing to release? And is that going to satisfy the 70% of the public who thinks the government is hiding some kind of a list?
Well, I know they say that nobody else would be charged, even it's been a very long time ago, but look at Ghislaine Maxwell. I mean, it was many, many years past the time that these crimes actually occurred. So, you know, it would seem if there were some indictable information in those files, perhaps it could be gone after legally.
Yeah, and I mean, there's still this other investigation that's going on in the Oversight Committee. We seem to actually kind of be getting more new information from the Epstein estate than information that we have in the Department of Justice. So these two things are going to play out simultaneously.
All right, Drew, thank you very much. We will see you next hour.
Thanks, Drew.